Red tide rolls in a cold breeze, steel boots on the sand, no ease. Propellers hum the Soviet quest, but the island ain't weak, not less. Hot tanks roaring loud and clear, zombie hula girls, no fear. Tiki terrors rise, eyes ablaze, Soviets drown in the island haze. Island don't surf, island don't win, Tiki terrors won't let them in. Hot tanks make the ground shake, zombie hula girls, hearts won't break. Under moonlight chants they clash, steel meets flame, bones will thrash. Cold War's heat, the island's grip, Tiki rage will never slip. Drums beat, wild waves take hold, Soviets shiver, hearts turn cold. In the depths of night they fail, Tiki terror's ancient tale. Island don't surf, island don't win, Tiki terrors won't let them in. Hot tanks make the ground shake, zombie hula girls, hearts won't break. Hearts won't break.
Howdy, howdy. It's your old pal, Tiki the Hut. Thanks for joining me again on there Too Late Tonight with Tiki. Hey, what's going on, 21? Francois, so you guys are already in the chat. That's awesome. Always awesome to see people like already in the chat when I start streaming. That's actually pretty cool. As you guys can tell up on the tabletop, we are still chipping away slowly but surely at our motor pool of Chihas. I did create something kind of cool. You guys can see it's a piece of terrain I made for our game in a couple hours. We're fighting over a maintenance airfield. We're doing like a combat airdrop. So this is like one of the objective markers is just a fuel dump. Super easy. I had some like 28mm scale barrels just kind of lying around. So I literally just grabbed a spare, heavy weapons team base and just stacked like 10 barrels like that and put one right next to it, Easy peasy. It blocks line of sight, kind of does everything you want it to. So always a cool terrain idea. If you guys are just looking for an extra piece of like key terrain to fight over or something like that, this is super easy to make. Alright, so let's talk about what we're going to be working on tonight. So we are going to be doing our scheduled execution. We're going to be lopping off these 3 heads, replacing them with samurai helmets, and then we'll be working on some Chihas. We have 7 Chihas to knock out. 1 command Chiha and 6 regulars. How's everybody else doing? How are you, 21? How are you, Francois? You guys, Hanging out? You working on some models yourselves? What are you guys up to? All right, let's get popping with these guys. All right, so here's one of our other. So these metal tank bodies came as part of a pack. Usually you get this this plastic body. Here, let me fix things on my end real quick. There we go. So usually you get these plastic bodies where it's just a tank commander and he has his binoculars, you know. So I ordered a small package of Imperial Japanese tank commanders. So here's one. He just has one hand on the grip of the tank, which I kind of like, the cupula. One hand outside. I gave this one a Nambu pistol. I gave this one a katana. And this one just looks like he just better not be here. I love it. Nice, Francois. That sounds awesome, man. Not gonna lie, I was kind of sad lopping off this, like, I call it the Dusty, because he had, like, the flaps on the back of the soft cap, like the indifferent Dusty head. That was actually kind of cool. Oh, hold on, let me fix something. Iridescent? Iridescent. That might be kind of difficult. The only thing I know of is that there is small glow-in-the-dark paint. It's mostly used if you look up, like, on Amazon or any online site. But if you look up front sight paint, if you look up like night sight or front sight paint for firearms, and you look up glow-in-the-dark paint, they'll come up with some actually pretty good and pretty vivid glow-in-the-dark style paint that's usually meant for doing your own front and rear sights. That's probably the best like iridescent paint I could think of. Oh no, team, I think we're just about running out of samurai style helmets. We have to order a new box from Warlord Games with the pike and shot samurai. That's where I find a lot of my I guess more Imperial Japanese aesthetic items. Yeah, glad that helps, Francois. Yeah, they make all sorts of green and blue and stuff like that. I used to carry a stub nose 38 for a long time, so I always had to, you know, kind of make my own sights for it. So I happen to just know that off the top of my head. I don't know if it's enamel or not. I'm not that well versed in paint, I don't think. I know I said the application's good for a long time. You can't really put any kind of sealant on top of it. I found that out the hard way, you know, because it'll diminish the amount of light that it picks up, so. So I wish I could be more help for you, Francois. So what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of flattening out the area where I kind of decapitated the officer, so the other head will kind of glue on just a little bit easier, you know? It's kind of more, I know it's kind of hard to see because that light makes it real bright with its metal. Hey, what's going on, HS? How is the Arctic frozen tundra treating you these days, HS? And HS, did you see the huge news? Huge, massive Conflict 47 news? They're going to be demoing Conflict 47 and possibly, and like 99% certain, the new rules at Adepticon. Hey, what's going on, Matthew? We were just talking about it, but I hope you and your dad are happy with the Conflict 47 news. They're going to be demoing the new rule set at Adepticon. Which is the exact kick in the pants I need to hurry up and finish those lore videos. I can't believe the last one I uploaded was like 6 months ago. I thought I just did that Japanese and Far East Pacific one. I looked at my page today, it was like 7 months. I was like, oh. So I'll be sitting down and trying to knock those ones out for you guys as fast as possible. Watch me like catch up and finish all the lore from the 3 books, and they just rewrite all the lore. I'd be a little salty, not super salty, I guess, but a little bit. Oh, nice. Finishing Empire Steam Tank. Oh, nice. Who doesn't love some good old-fashioned old world? There we go. I know it doesn't quite look like he's looking down the sights, but he's doing like that leaned back Olympic Turkish shot, you know? Looks kind of perfect. But you look at it like just right, he's actually looking down the iron sights. It's actually pretty good. And the scale's perfect. That's what I always recommend. Like I said, if you're looking for bits, if you really make your NCOs and officers pop out, feel free to steal the idea, which I shamelessly stole from Red Alert 3. I'm not special. But get the Warlord Games Pike and Shot Samurai box and use these samurai helmets for NCOs and officers. Same scale, they literally go together. It's a beautiful thing. Alright, it just, I may need you to reword that because I've read it twice, I'm trying to get it. So I'm gonna read it out loud, that way you can see if I'm misinterpreting anything. So, hey Tiki, bolt action question, can dismounted infantry include the transport as part of the unit walking beside it to take its heavy machine gun? Is it now 2 separate units, or does the dismounted transport have to leave the area? So if I'm understanding this correctly, you're talking about, you know, taking an infantry squad as part of a bolt action platoon, possibly rifle platoon, recce, what have, or recon, because I hate using the word recce. So yeah, if you pay for the transport, you get the transport and it has its own order die. Now the thing with transports is if you have no one in the transport, like the troops have already disembarked and you have no one in the transport, if the enemy is closer to it than you are, the transport is destroyed. It can be read that it fled the board. It can be whatever your house rules are, but that order dice is gone and the unit is gone off the map. Now, if you're asking, do your units have to start the game embarked in the transport? No, that's a choice you make. You can choose to have them start the game embarked or disembarked. Same thing, a lot of people don't know this for the recon platoon, because I'm not saying recce. For the recon platoon, you have to take as many transports to carry all the foot sloggers in that recon platoon, unless of course they're cavalry or are mounted on motorcycles. But they don't have to start the game in that same whip. They can start the game dismounted, you just have that transport. Let me know if that answered your question. I may not have understood it correctly, HS, so let me know. Me personally, as you guys know, I like to do. Oh, I don't have a truck here. Oh wait, no, I do. I think I have a truck down here. Hold on. Ah, yes. Okay, now I understand. No, it'll always be 2 separate units and 2 separate dice. While the units are in. Oh, you know what? We could play show and tell actually. Let me just not lose my samurai heads because I only have so many of them. All right. So. All right. So here we go. We have my 2 Kippatai. Do I have any order dice nearby? Okay. Ooh, wait, no, hold on. I think I may actually have order dice. Let's see. Alright guys, bear with me. Unfortunately, I only have 1 order die that happens to be like within hand's reach. Alright. So not the best display and learn, but we'll figure it out here. Okay, so we'll say both these Kippatai are in 1 unit. We'll say there are, I don't know, a Fort Air Observer team, right, with 2 people. So that would be 1 die. So 1 die for them, 1 die for the transport. So while they're in the transport, here we go. While they're in the transport, use 1 die. It can advance or run. You know, and you issue an order to the actual transport, you know, advance or run. The units in the transport, if they're not getting out that turn, they're automatically assumed to be going down inside of the transport. Doesn't really confer them any kind of bonus. That's just what you do. So when you pull the dice, you know, you can pull that one or however you want to issue order to them, it's fine. Now, hey, what's going on, Sean? So if the vehicle is only advanced, you know, these guys can still actually hop out, right? So once they hop out, these are still 2 separate dice. You need an order dice to command this team and an order dice for the truck. It's always 2 separate dice. The truck will always have its own separate die. You don't have to worry about maintaining coherency with the transport as long as you're closer to the transport than the enemy. So if you're within touching, you're fine. Let's see. I'm wanting to split the unit on either side and all go down together as 1 unit. No, because like I said, you would be, if you did that, so you can't have more than 1 inch. Yeah, you can't have more than 1 inch in between the unit and split its coherency. So yeah, you would actually split it like this. And you got to be careful, because even if you tried that, even if that was within 1 inch, and let's say you have another model back here and you lose this model on the left, you would actually break the squad. It's this whole huge nightmare thing. So you're gonna keep them all on one side, unfortunately. But that's why if you're using a weaponized transport like I do, you can see the medium machine gun. One thing I generally do is I'll take my, let's say this Kibatai. Actually, sometimes I do use Kibatai because they're only 15 points. So I use these models to represent my Kibatai, and they even have a submachine gun. They're only 15 points and inexperienced. By themselves, they're not really that aggressive. They don't really do much, right? They're only useful if you're using militia rifles, which I do have, or bamboo spearmen, which I don't think anybody uses. If you use militia riflemen, those are green. So when they take their experience test to see what they become, an experienced regular veteran, these allow them to get that reroll. So Kibatai can be kind of useful. What I like to use Kibatai for is a light truck's only 18 points. You bump it up to regular and throw on a medium machine gun. It's only like 38 points, I want to say. And then you add in a Kibatai, which is only 15 points, and you leave them in the truck. They don't, death before dismount. They don't get out of the whip, right? So now the truck kind of rolls around like a mobile medium machine gun. Now this has pros and cons with a regular medium machine gun team. A regular medium machine gun team has multiple personnel, so it's a little bit more long lasting and sticky, but it's not as mobile. Whereas a transport, if it gets hit on a 6, it's done, right? You roll 6, the light skin vehicle, you're taking it out. But they have to hit you on a 6. And also, especially with roads, this thing's highly mobile. And it has a mini machine gun, and it's pretty cheap. So. No, the only thing I'm thinking, HS, if you really want to do like historic mount style stuff, you can have, the way you can do it, actually, is, let's go back to our example here. Let me push these tanks back so I can get a better example here. Alright. There we go. Now I have a little bit more room. So if you wanted to do a traditional mount, what you could do, HS, is cut your unit size in half. So let's say this is actually one, so I have the order dice for the truck. Let me put that down. So the order dice for a truck, and let's say this is actually 2 Kibatai. So I have 2 separate Kibatai units represented by each one of these models in the truck. So what you can do is you can actually have each model out of the truck on either side. So if you're wanting to do that, troop on either side for that mount style, patrolling down the city, trying to make it look more cinematic, I totally understand that. Just cut your unit in half. So instead of a 10 or 12 man rifle squad, have it a 5-man rifle squad, and have 1 5 going down here and 1 5 going down there. That might work. What's going on, Sean? How you doing, buddy? Okay, so Matthew, if you're talking about Conflict 47, what I would recommend for, and I'm not, me guys, I'm not a wacka guy, but I still have I like to think maybe a decent head, maybe even a floating Tiki head for tactics, right? So Matthew, for Conflict 47, instead of snipers, I would lean into these guys. I would lean in, and granted this is Imperial Japanese Navy, but I would lean to AT rifle teams, because you're gonna get something very similar to snipers, but the AT rifle teams can really threaten those heavy infantry, because you're going to be running into these guys a lot. You're going to be running into enemy heavy infantry all over the place, and you'll also be running into zombies. when you're actually hitting with that +1, you're really going to be overcoming a lot of their tough rules and kind of cutting them down. Plus, those AT rifles can be a threat towards light walkers. And I'm telling you right now, the Soviets, they love their Cossack light walkers. I don't know what it is about those models. They look like nothing on paper. Again, it's a very like Soviet thing too. It looks like nothing on paper. For some reason, the tabletop, it just performs magically. I don't understand it. It's weird. Like some models, you can read that they're good on the you can read that they're good in the book. You're like, okay, I know how this is gonna perform. The Cossack makes no sense. It just seems very wishy-washy when you read it. But Jesus, they're brutal. So yeah, AT rifles. I definitely take the AT rifles over the snipers. Yeah, veteran infantry are still veteran infantry. So the only thing the IJA really lose in Conflict 47, and I know it hurt me too, was the lunge mines. The IJA and IJA no longer get our lunge mines, our suicide anti-tank guys, but you do have the option of running 2 exo battle suits as anti-tank teams. So with our exosuits, we don't have the slow special rule or the large special rule. So I had the truckler. You can literally get a truck and just put 2 of these guys in it and just ride that truck around. You know, because these guys are also fast. So you can advance the truck, have those guys hop out, run up and Panzerfaust a tank, you know, and then just keep running and moving along. It's actually really cool. And plus, the exosuits. So the other thing is with these exosuits, they also have IR vision, infrared, so you can also pop smoke and put your Panzerfaust rounds through that smoke and engage tanks. Flamethrower squads. Well, okay. So the thing about horde units, you would think a flame would be great at repelling them, but you know, like most common media, flamethrowers aren't that good versus zombies because there's no psychological effect. So that's the main, I mean, damage-wise, sure, you're putting down a lot of good damage on zombies and werewolves. Like, they're great, especially on, like, Guardian Light Walkers. The downside is you're not going to get that morale effect because most horror units, particularly zombies or even the British automatons, are immune to morale checks. So, damage-wise, the flamethrower is great. Morale-wise, you won't see any effect. You're talking about the Ghost Attack Squad. So the I know. I'm terrible at pronouncing horror. I need to start like stressing it. Horror units instead of horror units. Blame that lazy Texas draw I can't quite grow out of. But the Japanese phase suits, those are Ghost Attack Squads. They are going to be your primary CQB unit. So if you really like closing with the enemy, the Ghost Attack Squads will light them up. Especially if they want to like hide in buildings. Like one of my favorite house rules is I like to play only buildings and armored vehicles, destroyed or regular, count as heavy cover. Everything else is light cover. You know. So yeah, if they want to use heavy cover, they have to be in buildings. The best way to dislodge people from buildings, where it's like, oh, use HE, or you know, you'll have the Ghost Attack Squads. So those Ghost Attack Squads can literally just phase in through there and just absolutely close them with close combat. So particularly with them bringing Combat 47 into line with version 3, which is what we think they're going to do. We don't know yet. I definitely don't have an NDA. I'm glad I don't. I let you guys know. If I let you guys know, that means the public can know. I don't get any secret information. So, when they show the new rules, I'll find out when you guys will. But hopefully, if they're bringing it in line with version 3, that means the Ghost Attack guys are going to be worth their weight in gold because they're going to be your primary CQB guys. Yeah, Matthew, I think you sent pictures of your Ghost Attack guys. Your guys look awesome. I love that paint scheme you did. It's a really cool idea. Yeah, we do still have light mortars. Smoke is a little bit more up in the air, pardon the pun, with the Conflict 47, only because some of the more advanced units, they do have IR vision, like Shrek Wolfen, a lot of different types of heavy infantry, so when you pop smoke, they'll see right through it. So smoke isn't as useful in Conflict 47. But yeah, I would definitely lean in for your IJ army. If you don't already have it, I would definitely get some AT rifles and You can find them on Etsy. You know, I'll message you if you're interested. I'll message you the link that I use on Etsy. It's the guy I get a lot of my models from because, I don't know, I think he's decently priced, and he always throws in free models, which is actually kind of cool. But I would get some AA guns. You can either put them on trucks and make Type 98 AA trucks, or you can use it as a gun emplacement. You can even, if you do it as a gun emplacement, you can even put a double barrel on it, so you can have a twin barrel 20mm. Those will absolutely chew through light walkers, light tanks, trucks, cars, small animals, women, children, heavy infantry, horror units, stressing the pronunciation. So that is what I would recommend, is maybe get an anti-aircraft gun emplacement and maybe pay for the extra points to get the double barrel, so you have double barrel 20mm or 2cm if you like that way. I don't know. HS, I have a fear. I have a distinct fear that they're going to change the lore, which makes me sad, because I put a lot of work in these damn videos, and I've read the lore backwards and forwards. But it's not my IP, so they can do what they want with it. I think the first emphasis is going to be changing the rules, and I think putting out books. I think Clockwork Goblins did a decent job with the lore and the story and the units. I think they did everything just right, but I think what is needed, I think they're just going to tweak and balance everything. They're going to bring it in line with version 3 and change a lot of the rules for some units, you know, like Tooth and Claw and stuff like that, to get it working right. And I think once that happens, again, I have nothing against Trench Warfare? Trench Crusade. Nothing against Trench Crusade. The idea sounds kind of cool. It may go well, it may not. I think some people may be let down by Trench Crusade, and I think some people are being let down currently by Warhammer 40k, so I think they're going to be perfectly right to fall right in line with Conflict 47. Hey, the Courier, what's going on, man? Hey. The house always wins, Courier, always. Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. We lopped off the heads and we're replacing them. So we took some of the metal IJA Tank commanders. We put in katanas. We put in Nambu pistols. He already has his samurai hat on. I went for like the whole lean back Turkish pistolman look from the Olympics. The officers will have a emblem on the front of their helmets, and they also have the radio antenna on their turrets. And I think one of my favorites is you actually have the guy who's absolutely not into aircraft at all, so he actually has a Type 96 light machine gun up on top of his turret. Not for gameplay reasons, again, that's just for fun. Hey, what's going on, Bad Rabbit? Bonsai, buddy. Yeah, Matthew, I need to get that box of zombies. I'm not gonna lie. I saw it's released and I want it. Usually, I try not to get like more than one box of models like a month, just so I don't like build back up my pile of shame, because I took a massive chunk out of it, right? So this past month I got the Fallout Factions box on sale, so I picked up that. And I think my next purchase is going to be a box of the new Rangers for bolt action, only because there's a fun channel news. There's an event coming up at Bearded Browncoats. It's one of the nerd stores in Ocala, horse country of Florida. They're doing a historical game. They're doing the Fall of Berlin, and this is in, I want to say, April. Yeah, so it's in April, and it's in April or May, can't remember. Anywho, and so it's 100% historical, so I can't bring my Tiki terrors. You know, there's no way I can like put in that the IJ or IJN were there. You know, that would ruin this. We talked about this, like, I think, like, last stream. It'd be wrong for other people who want to enjoy historical gaming. I'm not going to show up with my absolute weirdness, you know. I'm also not going to show up with my cult of Imhotep guys, because again, that would ruin other people's historical thing. So I'm actually, no BS, building a historical unit to take to the fall of Berlin. So after much deliberation, I decided on, I'm going to be taking Americans. I'm going to be taking the 83rd Military Police Platoon. So it was the Military Police Platoon that was attached to the 83rd Infantry Division. If you're a fan of World War II history, you'll know the 83rd Infantry Division was known as the Ragtag Circus. They were the infantry division who were well known, we'll say notorious, for basically commandeering anything that had 2 or more wheels and was operational, painting it green and just calling it a military vehicle. Civilian cars, German military vehicles, they didn't give a shit. So it being the MP unit for a GTA prone infantry division, the irony is not lost. But I went with that as kind of a way to pay back homage to the military police corps. I was security forces for like 9 years. Security forces, you know, going back historically all the way back to the air police for the Army Air Corps, you know, which go back to the Army MPs. So kind of doing this more of a heritage project, but is a really fun list. It's 1,000 points. When I have it built, I'll show you guys. Somebody basically called it the Mad Max list, and they're not wrong. I followed military police, TO and E. So what I went with was, you know, small regular rifle squads, only like 6 men, trucks everywhere. So the whole list has 6 trucks with heavy machine guns, and it has 5 jeeps with heavy machine guns. So like in the trucks, I'm going to have all sorts of like barricades and barriers so they can set up checkpoints and stuff like that. So it's going to be really cool. I think there's like 1 bazooka team, you know, so. And the whole thing is, I figured, you know, they're going to need every MP they can get in Berlin to take all the enemy prisoners of war and help set up checkpoints, you know, with the USSR and with the actual Wehrmacht field Jägers? Yeah, field Jägers, they're military police. Not the SS, but obviously the regular military. So that's kind of cool. A little bit of channel news. We're actually, once we finish this project and paint these Chihas, we'll be working on an actual historical, real-world historical unit. To me, it's going to be fun to play, because again, it's 6 trucks with heavy machine guns and 5 jeeps with heavy machine guns. So, I mean, like, any rifle shot can take him out. I know this, you know, hitting on 6s. But it's a shit ton of heavy machine guns can threaten some stuff. So. I'm pretty excited about that. And again, being, you know, a branch of military police, you know, not Army military police, I was Air Force Security Forces, but still, it's kind of a cool heritage thing. Right? Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Right, yeah, HS, that's like their natural enemy, is the damn werewolves left behind enemy lines. If you guys haven't seen that, they made a really good depiction of it. If you've ever seen the movie Heart's War, there's also a clip of it available on YouTube. Just look up Heart's War and like MP, and it'll show you like Germans pretending to be military police at a checkpoint just to ambush vehicles and capture officers. It's very real, very likely. Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to Dust 1947. I know it had a very strong and supportive community, so I'm really unfortunate that happens. I like some of the look at some of their models too. So my recommendation, not that I know Warlord, I know Warlord Games doesn't watch this, but my recommendation for Warlord Games, the Conflict 47, it may or may not cost much. I'm not sure. I don't pretend to understand how businesses work or modeling or any of that kind of stuff. But with Conflict 47, I would go the full hog. What I mean by that is, you know, make the model line in the books and the novels, but also even if it's just like a small print, you know, like a limited run, I would make rules for and let people 3D print. That would be my recommendation, you know, like, hey, go crazy. But I would make rules for Blood Red Sky and Cruel Seas, you know, their maritime, their naval warfare game and their aviation game. Make rules for Conflict 47 aircraft. All it takes is they already hired the writers, so they have the think tank just poke their gray matter, you know, and make them earn their pay and come up with Conflict 47 aircraft. The Russians could have their Bell project, you know, those UFOs, especially with all their gravity technology. Imagine that. You know, Americans could have like Tesla cannons on some of their aircraft. How fucking cool. How cool would it be to have a B-17 with like a Tesla gun, you know? Like repel fighter aircraft. And they could like short out the aircraft, you know? There's so much cool stuff. And especially naval warfare. Oh man, you could absolutely go crazy with that. Particularly like submarine stuff. It'd be really cool. So that would be my recommendation, is offer, because that's something that Dust never did, as far as I'm aware of. Dust 1947 never did. And that's something that, you know, Trench Crusade won't do. Is they only have the tabletop, where because Warlord Games already has the product in place and the core rules in place for Blood Red Skies air combat and Cruel Seas naval warfare, they can put in a little bit of the weird war stuff. You know, even if it's just like a limited run, that would be super cool. Yeah, oh man, Courier, what a great idea. Yeah, imagine Lancaster bombers, but with automatons as their gunners. That's absolutely genius, because you know they can take all sorts of flaks and machine guns and still operate it. Plus, they can run algorithms and throw up like automated AA fire, almost like a Sea Whiz. That's a great idea, yeah. And also, as far as bombs or missiles, or like rockets for the British, they have those Meteor. It has this like acid-eating, or this armor-eating acid payload system. So imagine them launching like their hard rockets, but they're filled with like Meteor. Oh man, that would be solid. That's an interesting idea for a new faction, H. That's not a bad idea. But yeah, Courier, that's exactly what it is. So that MP army ends up basically being like a Mad Max thing, which is pretty cool. Something I've always wanted. So yeah, it's got 2 rifle platoons. The officer group, each one has 3 people. They're veterans with rifles. It has 2 rifle squads that are regulars, only 6 people. Because again, it's small teams, small arms, and a whole bunch of transports. All the vehicles are regular. The bazooka team is regular, and that's really it. So it's only 1,000 points, but luckily, no one in the event's allowed to take artillery or air observers. That's one of the small rules, because I think that would slow down gameplay. Because it's supposed to be a huge game. It's going to be the Germans in the middle with the Soviets on one side and the Americans on the other. So, unfortunately, otherwise, that list would absolutely smash any aircraft coming in. Alright, just getting some tanks primed up. Yeah, the mutant war dogs, they for the British courier, they remind me of, if you ever played Dragon Age or oh Jesus, I had to specify apparently. Dragon Age Origins, you know, the first Dragon Age games that came out. We can get those pups, those war dogs. They kind of remind me of that and like the Fallout 4 mutant hounds, you know. They can look kind of weird, but they're super useful for clearing out horror units like zombies. Yeah, Matthew, I'm really excited to order that box from Wargame Atlantic. I love the look of their zombies. I think they're going to make a killing because the Conflict 47 zombies, no matter if we're talking with Totenkor or the Shinobi or Shihobi? I don't know how to pronounce that. The Japanese ones. Stupid expensive for what they are. So any alternate zombie model you can get is great, and the fact that the Wargame Atlantic. So if you guys don't know this, the Wargame Atlantic box. This is actually the Mantis Kings of War zombie box, right? With Tiki mask that I got off a Frostgrave Ghost Archipelago tribal box. Anywho. So the Wargame Atlantic box, the zombies are about the same size, but the cool thing is the zombies are wearing tattered clothing, and they come with every kind of head you can imagine. They come with enough heads where you can put heads on everything, but it comes with modern day, as we were doing Walking Dead, you can put on police, construction worker, you know, firefighter heads. They look cool. They have Roman legionary heads. They have, I think like knight style heads. I'm not sure about that one. You have World War I style Brody helmets. You have World War II style helmets. You have modern day or Vietnam style combat helmets. Basically any kind of era or setting you can think where you need zombies, be it fantasy, sci-fi, or military, they make heads. Yeah, they're not shinobi. I'm trying to think what the actual term is off the top of my head. I can't think what the term is for the Japanese term for their zombies. I don't obviously I don't speak or read Japanese, so I just call it the Imperial Japanese zombies. I'm trying to think for extra flock. I'm not sure. I recently saw an idea. It's actually a new YouTube channel I actually started following. I think it puts out pretty good content. Let me make sure I get the name of the channel right, because I'm actually becoming a pretty big fan. Zum Central. ZUM. You know what? Hold on. There you go. All right. There's the link to his channel. His name's Centaur. So he puts out really good bolt action content. And I actually saw a really cool terrain tip from somebody that he had on his channel. Is for flock, especially like around bushes and some terrain pieces. You can also put it. I guess you could try to put it on models. It'll have a very strong smell, but you can use Italian seasoning. I know, it sounds really weird, but it looks cool, and you can get a giant bottle of like cheap Italian seasoning at like the dollar store or the grocery store, like a huge mass of like, keep it in your bunker to last you all through the apocalypse size bottle, and you can put all sorts of like kind of flock down, and it really looks like fallen leaves. It's a really cool effect. I don't know how strong it'll smell. It seems like it would smell pretty strongly, but it's gonna smell like Italian seasoning, so it's not gonna smell terrible. But it's kind of a cool idea for like flock for bases. But I mean, worst case scenario, man, feel free to steal the whole grass tufts on top of the helmets. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm not crazy. Okay, thanks, Sean. I appreciate that. It's an old tactic. Cool. Yeah. I was worried about how strong it would smell. Alright, we now officially have samurai helmets on all of our tanks, which is actually pretty cool. I hadn't seen that before, and I saw it, and I thought it was like one of the coolest things I'd seen. I was like, okay, that's actually pretty cool. Yeah, that's true. You can always get like local sand. Always worry about like microorganisms or some stuff like that. I think for my IJN guys, I think I'm just gonna use it. I found some AK stuff. They seem pretty reputable. I know a lot of people use them and say good things about them. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. And like I said, I think my blue water effect turned out pretty well. See how it kind of shimmers like that? I just put down blue paint, put down some PVA, let it kind of somewhat dry, then I put on another coat of blue paint on top of it, and I just painted a little bit of white lines for like the waves. That's good enough for me, and that's easy and cheap enough to replicate like 100 times. That'll be okay. And then I'll just put the AK sands around the rest of the base. I said the trick is to do whatever you can like replicate. What World War II Japanese movies do I recommend? Okay, the two off the top of my head is number one, Toro is very good, but again, that's mostly just IJN. It's more about the naval battle of World War II and what led up to Pearl Harbor. Now, as far as ground combat, it's got to be Letters from Iwo Jima. So I don't think it's the best movie of all time. I think it's pretty well done, or I think it's, in my opinion, and again, I'm not Japanese, I think Letters from Iwo Jima is respectfully done to both sides, and it actually goes well if you've seen Flag to Our Father. They actually kind of cross over a few times. But Letters from Iwo Jima do a good job of showing, you get to see a lot of cool stuff. You get to see the rivalry between, you can see the, oh, you can't see this. You can see the rivalry between the IJA and the IJN. Unfortunately, there are no exo battle suits in Letters from Iwo Jima. But you get to see the rivalry between IJ and IJN. You get to see Baron Nishi, who's a very interesting character in history. His model's also available at Warlord Games. He's actually on his horse. You get to see some Hagos and how they were utilized. Type 95 Hagos, they basically just built them into the ground like tank emplacements or gun emplacements. You get to see all sorts of Imperial Japanese World War II small arms. So you get a great look at how their hand grenades work. You get a great look at how, you know, rifle and rifle fighting techniques were. There's plenty of Type 96 and Type 97 light machine guns. There's no Type 99, unfortunately. It kind of breaks my heart a little bit. You get to see a Type 92 Woodpecker heavy machine gun. That's pretty cool to see. There's also, you see medium mortars that even have the spigot mortar. If you haven't seen the spigot mortar, it basically launches like a giant black, you know, fuck off size R2-D2 can, and it'll come screaming in. Now, usually in the movie it hits a tank, which technically that's possible, and it absolutely would destroy a Sherman, but what it was made for was just for absolute sheer terror. It came in screaming, it would detonate on the beach, you know, and send fragmentation everywhere, cutting into troops. So it was really more of a psychological weapon, not an anti-tank weapon, but the fact that it hit a tank, yes, it would destroy it, so that was kind of cool. I can't recommend the show Pacific. It's interesting. It's not bad, but I think like most of the people, after I watched Band of Brothers, I try to watch Pacific, and it's just two entirely separate things. It's told very differently. There are some cool battle scenes, but the show just moves slow. It's a lot like Rogue Heroes. It's a good show, just slow. You know, just what else? Trying to think of the name of it. So there was a really good movie. Let me see if I can find the name of it. It's hard to recommend due to the subject material of it. Give me a second here. Let me look this up. Okay, so there's the movie. You're going to see a lot of Imperial Japanese like vehicles and tactics and stuff like that, but it is a hard movie to watch. It's called Flowers of War. It is a very good movie, but a very strong movie to watch. To let you know, it's about the Imperial Japanese, conquering a Chinese city, and there is a missionary who's actually he's not even a missionary. I think he's just like a drifter. But he pretends to be a missionary, he pretends to be a preacher, so he can like hide out in the church. And the Imperial Japanese are about to come in and take advantage of a bunch of prostitutes. They're about to basically press gang them into comfort woman service, to put it mildly. And he kind of brokers the peace between them. And they're waiting for like their commanding officer to come to put on a show, and then they're gonna press gang him into service anyways. And so it's them trying to escape. It's got some pretty good firefights in it between, Chinese warlord forces and Imperial Japanese. Like I said, the subject material makes it a little hard to watch if you're squeamish about those types of things. It doesn't pull any punches, so, if talking about like the rape of Nanking bothers people, I don't recommend the movie. But if you're able to just watch a movie and just watch a movie, I don't know how historically accurate it was, but it's pretty cool when you see the Chinese forces. They're using German helmets, like British and American rifles. It's very interesting that the gear choice they had, because that's actually what they had. Trying to think. Yeah, I think those two would be the ones I'd go to. The reason why I recommend those two movies, the reason why I recommend Tora 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 and Letters from Iwo Jima is I actually have another good one for you, particularly for Conflict 47. Godzilla 0-1, I think is what it's called, or Godzilla -1. That's actually kind of a cool movie. It has some World War II Imperial Japanese parts in it, particularly talk about the Shinden fighter, and you can actually see him operate a Type 92 heavy machine gun on the ship they have to destroy all the mines. So that's pretty cool. But the reason why I'd recommend Tora 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 and Letters from Iwo Jima is because not that I'm like super big into this whole like, voices need to be heard. That's not it at all. But the Japanese descendants and Japanese historians actually had a say on how those movies were made. And the reason why I think that's particularly important in this is because there is so much misinterpreted and misunderstood Japanese documents and doctrine from World War II. A lot of the stuff you hear about the Imperial Japanese is all just, scuttlebutt barracks rumor that was passed down from generation to generation. My pappy fought them and this is what he said, so this is what it is, and like so many examples, like the knee mortar actually being called a knee mortar. It's the heavy grenade discharger. If you use it like a knee mortar, it'll break your femur or your shin, depending how you have it mounted. Same thing, like, all the air socket rifles were blasted rifles were terribly made. When I tried to shoot around out of it, it blew up. No, it's because they didn't read the inscriptions. They used a training rifle, which only is supposed to shoot blanks. They tried to shoot a live round out of it, so yeah, it ruptured. Or the Type 94 8mm Nambu pistol. It's like, it's a surrender pistol. If you hold it the right way and you press this thing right here, it's meant to shoot without your finger on the trigger. First off, it's not a 6-hour P320. It's not an impact grenade. But the way the Type 94 was made is that, it was a smaller version of a pistol, much smaller than like the Nambus, like the traditional Type 14s you saw. the Type 94 pistol was made for tankers and aircrews. They wanted a compact frame. So the way this saved room on the pistol was to have an exposed sear notch. So yeah, if you have the weapon loaded with a round in the pipe with it on fire, because it does have an external safety, with it on fire, yeah, you can press the external sear notch and it 100% will fire. It wasn't designed to do that so you can hold it in your hand like you're gonna surrender and like tap it to shoot. It just happened to be a design quirk about it, you know. But a lot of people are like, oh, it's designed so they could surrender and still shoot one shot. Like, that's insane. No, they didn't design it that way. There's a lot of weird rumors about Imperial Japanese weaponry in World War II. So that's why I say movies that are actually made and signed off by the descendants of the Imperial Japanese, you know, like descendants of soldiers and stuff like that, those generally make better movies because they're a little bit more historically accurate. I don't think I've ever, you know, I remember hearing about Deep Blue Fleet when I was like, I remember hearing about it when I was a kid and I remember seeing it on the Blockbuster shelf and wanted to rent it, but I don't think I ever did. I think I always mixed up Deep Blue Fleet with like Space Moto, so I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check that out, Francis. The Incredible Mr. Limpet. Isn't that the one where he's a fish and he's like fighting submarines? I feel like that's what it is. It's like voiced by like Don Knotts. Yeah, if you guys lurk around enough quote-unquote social media, particularly I do lurk around the Reddit for bolt action. Usually I'm not a fan of Reddit whatsoever, but the bolt action Reddit's actually pretty decent. But you'll see me lurk around there a lot. I have a different name there, but a lot of people can see that it's me. And on Facebook, I use my alternate, you know, fake name tied to this account, so you guys will see me running around Facebook a lot too in the bolt action channels. But somebody posted this hilarious situation in bolt action. It's like, hey, you know, I need a rule, like a ruling on rules. And the ruling was he had a square building, right? So hold on, let's see if I'll recreate it with these tanks. All right, pretend these tanks are a building. Alright, so again, we're pretending the tanks are a building, right? So you had a two-person squad, one person was fully covered, one person was poking out, right? Where they could still see past, you know? And then they had one model right here that could draw a line of sight. And they're talking about, like, how many of the units could they shoot, how many units could they damage, this whole thing. I don't know, I didn't really read that much, just because I don't know, I mean, I just kind of... The way I do is like read the rulebook, understand the rulebook, and make your split-second decisions on the tabletop. If you don't have a TO to make the call for you, make the best call. If you guys can't agree, then roll a dice. You know, like roll a dice to see who wins. You have a 50-50 chance, not a big deal, right? Anywho, so my thing was like I don't understand the question. This is not the correct answer. I was like, per Imperial Japanese Army and Navy doctrine, if you have one person, they have two right there. Clearly, the correct answer is to fix bayonets and bonsai charge. Like, clearly, that is what the situation is called for. I do not understand the question. So I got a few laughs, but I think some people were trying to take the question serious. But while I have you guys in the chat, let me go ahead and farm you for ideas. Hey, what's going on, Joe? Let me farm you guys for some ideas. I'm putting together a quote-unquote, I can't stress enough how relaxed and laid back it is, but a quote-unquote pack. So, you know, a pack is certain custom rules for a quote-unquote event or a type of event with some mission packs and scenarios in it, right? So think of it like optional. It's like basically like getting a game and like checking the Steam Workshop for mods, right? So I'm coming up with some rules for combat on how I like to play quote-unquote bolt action. I'm not trying to change everything. I'm not a good enough player to know what needs to be changed, what doesn't need to be changed. You know, I'm still pretty much a scrub. But let me know in the chats, what are some rules that you've play tested that you liked? What are some of your homebrew rules? To kind of give me some ideas. So some of my ideas, they're very silly. I only have 2 ideas actually 3 ideas I feel very strongly about. So my 3 rules I feel strongly about is, first off is smoke. To me, smoke works. If you miss a smoke, it's you roll a d6 if you miss, and you roll an order dice and a d6, and the order dice will tell you where it scatters to, and the d6 tells you how far it scatters. I don't like your enemy picking where the smoke goes, because I think it's just odd. I get the playstyle, it's funny, but I think it's just a little weird. So I think if you, oh damn, where did my order die go? So yeah, like if you were to pop smoke like right here, you know, you roll a die close to it. And look, that die is pointing on the order dice. It's a built-in scatter die. It's telling you that way. So you roll 1d6 and you roll an order dice, and it'll tell you where your smoke scatters. Other than because what the current rules are, if you in bolt action version 3, if you miss with smoke, it just misses. It's considered a dud round. So I mean, these aren't exactly early war American Navy aviation torpedoes. There's not that many duds. Ooh, Midnight Run. That sounds fucking awesome, Francois. Oh, I'm gonna steal that. Oh, Francois. I will give you credit, but I'm stealing that rule. That is probably the coolest Conflict 47 rule I think I've ever heard of. Insane props. That is an absolutely badass rule. Oh, I love that. I either call it Midnight Run or Moons Out, Goons Out. I'm not sure which I'll call it. I may rename it to Moons Out, Goons Out. Well, yeah, so, Bad Rabbit, you don't need a scatter die. Oh, hold on, let me turn the brightness down. So, you don't need a scatter die when you have bolt action order dice. Because the way these words are written, they have arrows on them. So when you roll it, the little arrow on the order dice will automatically point to a scatter for you. So you don't need your own separate scatter die. Again, this isn't Games Workshop. They're not making you buy a bunch of extra shit you don't need. The order dice, which are already expensive enough that you need for the game, they have a built-in scatter mechanic on the actual orders. So that is actually really cool. But yeah, basically, you're right. It does function like the old school scatter die from the good editions of Warhammer 40k. I said what I said. Fight me. That's a really cool idea, Francois. I'm still liking that. But so this is mostly for a bolt action event. It's the Clash of the Caribbean, the cruise. Projected dates, soft date, we haven't solidified yet, but we're looking like mid-October, somewhere between like the 15th and the 17th is what we're looking at. And I did a rough pricing point, so the price has gone up for the ship, but it's also made a different port of call. So, you know, it's a little bit more quote-unquote valuable, I guess you could look at it. So, just taking a look at it, just doing rough calculations in my head. Again, it's looking like October 15th to the 17th. And if you want a room by yourself, the cheapest room for the 2-day cruise is about $280 US. And if you're coming as a couple and you want the most basic interior room, it's about $400. That $400 is your room. It's also the transportation to the island and back, and it's also all the food and drink on the ship, non-alcoholic, of course. So that's your breakfast, that's your lunch, and that's your dinner in the big chow hall. So they actually have like a chow hall, like a cafeteria, and then your dinner is actually in the dining room. It's a very nice sit-down dinner. That's all covered. So that's just a rough heads up for you guys. You know, we're looking about possibly October 15th through 17th of 2025. If you want a room completely by yourself, it's $280. If you want to split the room with a person, be that like your partner or just a random buddy, it's going to be about $400. So the cheapest you can go if you split a room with somebody is about $200. And again, there's no entry fee for the actual event itself, and there'll be plenty of prize support. So it's up to you if you think it's worth it. It'll be departing out of West Palm Beach, Florida, and it'll be going to Nassau, Bahamas. So if you're a U.S. citizen, you will need your either U.S. passport or your birth certificate, either or. Yeah, Matthew, I know you're not necessarily a ship guy. So that's one of my rules is smoke actually going off and scattering. So if it's dead on, that's awesome. If it misses, it misses. And you can also dial in your smoke. So that's the number one rule I'll change. The second rule I'll change, it's a nerdy one. You guys I'm a munitions and firearms kind of nerd, so you have to kind of bear with me. Like many of you other guys, I was in the GWAT. I was certified on the AT4 M136, whatever you want to call it. And the way recoilless rifles and anti-tank weapons work is you cannot fire most unless it's a cold launch system, and they do make a cold launch M136 now, or it's called a confined space CS version. But unless it's a confined space version, you cannot launch a recoilless rifle or anti-tank weapon system in an enclosed space. The back blast will literally kill you and your team in that room. So that being said, if you try to launch a Panzerfaust, a Panzerschreck, a bazooka, a super bazooka from inside of a building, unless all the windows are knocked out, unless there's like a huge hole missing out of the side of the house, then you're fine. But if it's an enclosed space and you launch a bazooka, you will kill yourself. Hands down, right? So with that being said, one of the rules I do is that bazookas, super bazookas, Panzerfaust, and Panzerschrecks don't work inside of a building. Only Piats do. So the whole point is, okay, very similar to N72 if you're a little bit older. Like an N72 Law AT4 is just an 84. AT4 is an 84 millimeter heat round in a can. It's a single shot. But anyway, so my rule is that only Piats can fire from inside of buildings. It probably will never come up. It's barely even a rule, but the whole point to it is that it gives the Piats somewhat of a reason to still be in the game, instead of having to pay the extra thing. No, Joe, you came through. I don't think you're censored. Yeah, rocket launcher in the greatest of terms, sure. I mean, it's an 84 millimeter heat recoilless rifle, so not so much a rocket launcher as more of like a tank shell in a can. A single shot tank shell in a can is probably the better way to explain it. I mean, it's not as cool as don't get me wrong. M72s were awesome. They're a hell of a lot lighter. I think everybody liked the M72s better than the 84s. That being said, I never got to shoot the Carl Gustaf actual recoilless rifle, but from what I hear, everybody loves the Carl Gustaf way better than the AT4. But anyway, so that's one of my other rules, is that only Piats are the only shoulder-fired anti-tank weapon system that can be fired inside of buildings. No, I didn't see it, Joe Camel. I definitely want to see your tank shock rule, though. Definitely pop it in there. I'm not sure if it had something spicy on there. I don't have any bots turned on, and I don't have any moderators, so I'm not sure why it didn't go through. And my other rule is... What is my other rule? Oh, yeah. So my other rule that I like to use is the way cover works, and I've explained that to you guys. Because, so here's, I think it was me and somebody else throwing around the term MOUNT. I think it was me and HS, yeah. So MOUNT, the acronym is Military Operations in Urban Terrain. So basic short way of saying, hey, what's going on, Captain Eagle? Bonsai, buddy. So MOUNT is a really fast way of saying urban warfare without it sounding like the 90s. Yeah, no, you're right, Francois. That's why I said I was like, yeah, rocket launcher, like is a general term, sure, but yeah, I got what you meant. Anywho, oh, so I was going with this. Sorry, I got distracted. So we use the term mount. You know, HS said it earlier, and I'm saying it now. Military operations, urban terrain. It's a fast way of saying urban warfare. So to kind of represent, you know, how much more mount there was in World War II, one of the rules I like is when determining if you've ever played a game of version 3 bolt action, a lot of people don't like the cover save. I'm kind of one of them. The cover save, it's all right. I can take it or leave it, but the problem I see, it's not just me. Originally, I got the idea from Morning Glory, then I played it and I realized it as well. People put too much heavy cover on the board. It is not. It makes the game a lot more tedious. So, what I would go with is, for me, do I have any light? Oh, yeah. Nice. Alright, so let's take a look at these zombies, right? So these zombies behind the fence, to me, that is light cover, right? Even if this fence was a wall, if it's only a chest-high wall and they can still like shoot over it and they can still see, to me, that's still light cover. To me, heavy cover is only if you're inside of a building, fighting from inside of a building, or if you are behind an armored vehicle. Doesn't matter if the armored vehicle is destroyed or not. If you're behind an armored vehicle, you know, 7 plus or higher for the armor, I think that's heavy cover. If you're inside of a building, that's heavy cover. If you're in anything else, even if this is a concrete wall, even if it's like a horseshoe, because of the way bullets and grenades, because they don't put grenades in the game, you know, so the way grenades and rifles and stuff like that works and angles, I treat anything else as light cover because that kind of shows the whole, you know, fix, find, flank, and finish style tactics. I treat all their terrain as light terrain, unless it's something crazy. Like if you're behind, like, obviously a huge statue or a rock, you know, we can... Yeah, so the fence is not the best example, so all my other terrain is packed for my game in, like, 4 hours, so bear with me, Rabbit. I do have some concrete walls, but they're packed for my... Oh, you know what? Alright, hold on. Alright, Bad Rabbit, you're gonna be like that? I got you. I got you. I got you. Alright, here we go. This guy. Alright. So now we have this guy, right? Heavy infantry, and he is clearly behind these metal oil drums, which probably not the best cover, right? But if those are filled with water, then yeah, that's still... So yeah, I see what you're saying, Francois. I'm familiar with the whole concealment versus cover. You know, what's the difference in both real world and in second edition? But the way I like to play games... Yeah, that's weird, Joe. I'm not sure why. I haven't seen your messages. If you want, Joe, since we're in the same Discord with Morning Glory, just shoot me your rule on Discord, like in a private message, and I'll read it out in the chat. I don't know why chat's censoring you, because it's not me. And I definitely don't have a bot. Sorry, I was catching up on the chats. But yeah, if you can see, he's hiding behind these barrels. So obviously he can't see, so yeah, you can't shoot him anyways because you can't see him, you know, unless you're using a mortar. But if he was like peeking out or whatever, I would still only give him light cover. To me, heavy cover, just to make the reason why I do that. And a lot of people debate the whole, you know, light cover, concealment, heavy cover, and I understand that, truly I do. But the reason why I say you only get heavy cover behind armored vehicles or inside of buildings is otherwise buildings don't make a lot of sense on the tabletop, only because of the effectiveness of HE in 3rd edition. And what I'm worried about, and again, everyone, you're free to do with what you want, this is just my own house homebrew. I feel if you don't make buildings usable, you're gonna screw up your table. And what I mean by that is you're gonna start running into Warhammer 40k stuff where it's all L and 7 shaped ruins. You know, no one goes into no one uses rivers anymore on a Warhammer 40k tabletop. No one like runs into buildings. You know, it's all just ruins. So, you know, same thing. If you don't utilize buildings because it's so dangerous to go in there because the HE will kill you, you know, no one's ever going to utilize buildings. So these buildings are just going to become like, you know, paper copies, or like, oh yeah, these buildings are out of play. Oh yeah, the building's out of play. Oh, because I heard that all the time. Oh yeah, this building's out of play just because I don't want to access it or do the whole rules for it. The way I make buildings useful is that's one of the only ways to get reliable heavy cover. So what you do is you prioritize, just like you would in real life. You know, the ass hat throwing HE out of a mortar, yeah, let's kill that guy first. Let's kill the enemy's ability to do HE. Then we can take the buildings, and then we can fight from the buildings, you know, with our rifle teams. So it kind of gives you that risk-reward system. Yes, it's risky being it's risky being in a building if they have HE, but if they don't have HE, you get a massive bonus because it's heavy cover. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make buildings usable again instead of just set decoration. That's why I put the rule, because I understand concealment versus cover, I truly do, and you're not wrong with that. I did like that second edition, but that's why I'm making that rule about heavy cover in buildings that makes them a viable risk-reward tactic system. All right, let me check my Discord. I got a message from the man, the myth, the legend himself, Swark. All right, simulated shell shock. Do a shot every time a unit is removed. Your in real life declining judgment represents units being too rattled to follow orders. Joe, I love it. Unfortunately, I don't know many game shops that have like a hotel across the street. And so that would be a bit of a risky drive home, you know, after all those shots of sake. But I do love it, Joe. That's weird that it kept censoring it. I have no idea why it would do that, buddy. That is weird. Alright, let me put another coat on these tanks and get them ready to get painted. How long has he been on Nassau? How difficult is it to carry there? When you mean carry, do you mean a concealed carry firearm? Because legally you cannot. I'd say that unless you have some kind of LEOSA, which for those of you who don't know the acronym, Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act. If you have a LEOSA, you know the rules for LEOSA, so you can do your own thing. But if you don't have a LEOSA, you probably legally shouldn't be concealed carrying, or it may not go well for you. I mean, you do you, boo. So the event is going to be bolt action. It's a great question. So the event is going to be a 500-point bolt action event. It's only be going on for a couple hours. It's only so the whole event. The whole cruise is only a 2-day cruise. It's like the 15th to the 17th. That's why I like it. It's a fast 2-day cruise. That's it. Boom, boom, there and back. Super easy. Barely any inconvenience, right? It is going to be a bolt action 3rd edition event for the 500-point game. But for the day that we spend at Nassau, your ticket price doesn't include your shore excursions. I mean, you're free to get off the ship and just run around in port. That's free, but if you want to do any of the shore excursions like swim with turtles, go rum tasting, do any of that other kind of stuff, you generally pay for those, right? So what I'm offering to make sure you guys get your money's worth is I'm actually going to stay on board the vessel, and I'm going to be doing Conflict 47 demo games. So if you buy a ticket and you don't want to go on your shore excursion, you can stay on the ship with me if you want, you know, grab drinks, and we'll play some Conflict 47 together. So it's a bolt action 3rd edition event. And then on the second day, it's going to be a Conflict 47 free play demo game. So that's the cool part. So I'll have plenty of models, so you can literally bring your 500-point bolt action army for the actual, you know, first day for the actual event, and then for the second day, you can still bring by your army, just add in some Conflict 47 models. We can actually play some Conflict 47. As far as I'm aware of, you know, I'm gonna check with Won't name drop, but I'll check with Warlord Games, their PR team. I'm pretty sure it's the only bolt action event in international waters, so I think it'll be pretty cool. Fortification rules and mine rules. Courier, I think it's a cool idea in a designated narrative game. Other than that, I'm not sure. That being said, we did test out mines in our last game with the first attack on Malta. I actually made minefields. They worked. I mean, the vehicles didn't go near them, so I guess we used it to block off like avenues of approach. So Sean brings up a good point about the dress code. It is actually not a nude cruise. So the ship it's on is the Margaritaville at Sea of Paradise. That being said, go on YouTube, do your research. You're gonna hear a lot of mixed reviews about the Paradise. I'll be honest with you, before I ever recommended it, I went on a cruise, and I do have a maritime background. I used to sail on ships, you know, container ships, tankers, ro-ros, all that stuff. So as a maritime nerd, I love the Margaritaville Sea of Paradise, like the ship itself. It is an older ship. It's almost as old as me, actually. But this is not a modern day cruise ship. And there's good and bad things about that. So amenities wise, it's not as nice. It is a very antiquated style ship. I'm 6'1", and I was almost too tall. No, I'll take that back. If you're above 6'4", it might be a little bit uncomfortable. But this is built for Europeans. A lot of stuff is kind of smaller. There's not a lot of the amenities that you'd find on a modern day cruise ship. This is not a amusement park and resort floating in the water. This is a old style ocean liner. She is fast. I'm telling you that. That's why they do this 2-day run, because they can. This ship could do it in 1 day. I guarantee you the ship could make it to Nassau back in 1 day if it had to. She is fast. And it's that old classic ocean liner, so there's not as many like modern day amenities, but there's bars everywhere and there's chairs and seatings everywhere. The ship even has a library. You know, it's a very older style ship. Sometimes that shows in its furniture and stuff like that, you know, so it's not the nicest thing, but I like it. Some people, particularly people who take like other cruises, they did a video review, and it's kind of like that popular thing to kind of bash on. Like a great example, you know how people make like, oh, Dungeons & Dragons is falling apart or falling off, or 1MK is falling off. While those may or may not be true, it's popular to make videos and like kind of gang up on it, you know? Same thing with that ship. I rode on the ship. It was perfectly fine. It was clean enough for me. The food was good. The service was awesome. I had a great time. More importantly, I got my money's worth. Remember, if you're going by yourself, it's like $280. If you're splitting a room with somebody, it's $200, like $400 for 2 people in the cheapest room. So you're gonna get what you pay for in both the good and bad way, I guess. I enjoyed it, but definitely do all your research for it. Take a look at the ship. But the reason I'm getting into is the dress code. It is a Margaritaville at Sea, so it is a casual dress code. The ship's not really a cruise ship, it's more like a luxurious fast ferry, because it's just going there and back, you know, with one stop. But the dress code is casual. You don't have to bring a tux or wear a dress. Even in the dining room for your evening meals, you don't have to eat there if you don't want to. You can always just grab a pizza from the pizza place if you want, for an additional fee, of course. But I wore tan shorts, you know, Hawaiian shirts, board shorts, t-shirts, I wore a flip-flop the entire time I was on the ship, you know, like, it's perfectly fine. You don't have to worry about dress codes on the ship. And the whole crew is extremely laid back. And the one thing I really wanted to share with you guys is they do a, I know it's almost like a shill cast here, right? But it is the event I'm trying to put on. They do a heroes, and I think it's heroes, first responders, and teachers sail free. So the whole actual cruise is not free, because again, they wouldn't make any money. But what it is your quote-unquote tickets free, but you still pay taxes, port fees, fuel, all that other kind of stuff. So yes, it is very fast friendly, Sean. So basically what it is your ticket, which is probably about like 80 or 90 bucks, that'll be covered. So if you're a veteran, active duty, law enforcement, firefighter, EMT, nurse, or teacher, generally your ticket, it's like 80 to 90 bucks, will usually be covered. You gotta pay everything else. So the cool thing about that is you don't get the same drama you get on all the other cruise ships. There's not a whole huge problem with like people fighting and like all this kind of like stupid stuff. Everyone there is usually, when I went, it was like half military, which is hilarious. And then the other half is actually used by Bohemians. Getting from the United States to the island of Bohemia back and forth, they use it like a ferry because it's affordable. So the cooking is actually really good. The food, it's not... The food is really good because it almost tastes... How do I say this? It almost tastes like you're eating in the crew chow hall, and I mean that in the best way. Like, it tastes like it's the people making food for their own crew members. It's got a lot of native style, like native Bohemian style cooking to it, so like the chicken and rice is really good. Alright. So no shilling for my Clash of the Caribbean. And the $22 we've raised that you see on screen, that's going to go towards... I already have price support pretty well covered. That's going to go towards like getting pizzas and some other cool stuff for everyone who's on the event, you know, getting like food and drinks and stuff like that. So again, it's a bolt action event. It's not a tournament. So, I mean, I'm going to let Warlord Games know about it, obviously, but I'm not going to be asking for prize support. There are not going to be any, you know, gray/silver dice for the winner. There aren't going to be any, like, special models. I mean, I have some special models to be giving away, but there won't be any, like, official bolt action, you know, like, tournament rankings in this, you know. I don't think Bo's going to cover it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like a social event. So it's a bolt action social event. We're going to show up with 500-point armies. We're going to kind of... It's only going to be about 6 people. I'm going to close the cap at 6 people. Only because there's not a lot of play space. Other than that, you're free to attend, and you're free to play the Conflict 47 thing. You're also free to play bolt action anywhere on the ship you can find room. You do you, boo. But unfortunately, I have so much room on the vessel. As it gets bigger, I'll be able to invest more money and actually rent out the conference room on the ship. And we can do a big, huge thing for it. But until then, we can't. We're gonna keep it kind of small, almost like guerrilla style. Like we're just gonna be in the library, kind of rolling dice. But it's a chill 500-point event. What I mean by that is you're gonna show up, and we're all literally gonna be kind of just, you know, round robin style playing. And the prize support isn't for like first place or second place. It's gonna go towards, you know, most talented, who has the best painted or modeled army. It's gonna go towards most tactical, who had the coolest like maneuver or play, and again, that's gonna be voted on by everybody. And then there's the most Tiki, aka the most sportsman award, and that's probably gonna be the biggest prize support. But yeah, there is no prize support for like first place because it's not that kind of competitive vibe. It's more just laid back, throwing dice with your buddies. Hey, Captain Eagle, I saw your comment. Yeah, this channel is free. It'll always be free. It's not monetized. Nothing against people who do monetize. Everybody does their own thing. I'll never be monetized, so there's nothing really for that. What I can do if you're interested is, here, give me a second. I do have a store where you can buy merch. There's no tipping or membership or anything like that, but I do have a store. I'll throw that link in here for you. I had to redo all the t-shirts. People who made the t-shirts no longer make them, so a lot of the products aren't available, but the hoodies are and the stickers are. So let me get the link to the merch shop. I have a hoodie. I want to say you can ask Squig Hunter Sean. Squig Hunter Sean has a hoodie. The hoodies are actually pretty legit. I put mine through the wash and it survived. Nothing came off. It's not like a cheap screen print, so I can say that. I put mine through the wash, I think like 2 times now, and it's come out perfectly fine. Yes, Bad Rabbit, it is 100% a beginner-friendly event. Yeah, Captain Eagle, take a look at it. I'm not gonna. I think the shirts are funny. I think the descriptions on the items are actually kind of funny. I try and put in a lot of jokes. I have to go back and redo all the t-shirts. So I think the only t-shirt that you can buy is the French Resistance one. I had to swap all the other t-shirts because each t-shirt is for the different nations/factions of bolt action. You know, so there's a USSR, Imperial Japanese, American, British, yada yada yada. But there's also some stickers and some other funny stuff. I don't know if I'll do cod pieces. Maybe I'll do like a Speedo. Yeah, there's also the Tiki OnlyFans. It's called Tic Tac Tiki, or no, Tiki's Tic Tac Only Toes or All Toes. But no, I appreciate your support, man. That's awesome. You don't have to do that, which I appreciate. But as you guys can see, the prices on the website for the merch and stuff like that, I get it just for the fun of you guys having Tiki merch. I just think it's hysterical and cool. Everything is priced as low as I can get with $1 profit. And that $1 profit, it always goes up here on the screen, and we track it right there where it says CATC Clash at the Caribbean. You know, I check before every stream, and whatever money we've made, I put up right there. So I don't pocket it; it just stays in the channel. We use it for channel events like prize support, some other stuff. If Clash of the Caribbean goes well, I'll actually start doing a winter event. The winter event will probably be here in Tampa, Florida. And it's probably going to be held on the SS American Victory, an old World War II Victory ship. They actually have a event room on that ship, so that'll probably be where we'll do our bolt action tournament. If Clash of the Caribbean goes well, we'll start doing an actual winter event too. All right, so you see we got two Chihas primed. It's more of a chatting stream, which I didn't mind. I desperately needed it. I'm still doing a little bit of pain, but like I said, I do actually have our second big Malta battle event here in a couple hours. Me, Irish. If you're a friend, if you're in the Morning Glory channel, you'll know us. If not, you know, sometimes they hop in here. It's me, it's RK, it's Irish, and Trooper or Dragoon. He goes by both. We're all meeting up for a 2v2 1,500 point game here in a couple hours. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be an all-day event. But I didn't want to like shortchange you guys and not stream just because I have an event later on today. So I figured I'd hop on, maybe do a little bit of light painting. Like I said, I'm really just... So we cut off some heads. We put on some samurai heads, you know. We had on some samurai helmets, and we did a little bit of primering. And same thing, I'll also be streaming Sunday morning, 2 to 4 a.m. and we'll actually be doing an after action report of the event so you guys can find out how it went. Yeah, that's a great way to get the channel canceled. I can only imagine doing a General Lee Chiha. Oh, sweet Jesus. But yeah, Matthew, you'll have to let us know how the Wargaming Atlantic Zombie box is. It looks so good. I cannot wait to pick up a box myself. I really want to get in on that. That box looks awesome. I mean, I already have most of my zombies built. I have a I designed on Hero Forge. I designed a zombie hula girl that I'm gonna get Irish to print me off a bunch of. That'll be pretty cool. So I actually have my my classic, zombie hula ghouls, in my actual army. Bad Rad, we're talking about me. I don't think I've ever looked at the Rumble website. It's the same reason why I don't do Twitch streaming either. It's not to really, it sounds so bad. It's not like I'm not trying to sound like a hipster, or like a boutique channel, but it's really just a place for us to kind of hang out and chat, and I catch up on these models. I don't really need to like hit multiple channels. I don't think, YouTube's all right. YouTube has, I mean, they gave me a strike, but I deserved it like months ago, almost a year ago. To be fair, I deserved it. I didn't read the rules right. But YouTube's been fair to me, and I said I'm not going to get monetized, so that's why I'm not kind of reaching out to the other streams, because I'm not really sure how it kind of works, or other websites like Rumble or Twitch or like that. I'll just do YouTube. Unless something happens. But yeah, I'm excited to finally finish all these Chihas. I think this one's my favorite. The guy with the extra machine gun up top. It's pretty cool. But yeah, other than that, man, I'm super excited. I think it's gonna be a great day today. It's gonna be a good match. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and that sounds good. That does make sense. But I think it's just that YouTube is so ubiquitous to videos and streaming that I think it's probably the easiest. I think out of all the sites, most people have a YouTube, you know? It's the same reason why I'm so active on Facebook. Me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the Facebook platform, but for Florida and the older population here, particularly for bolt action, that's what a lot of them use as their primary means is Facebook. Yeah, it's Squid Hunter Sean. That's the only time I've heard Rumble brought up. It's like as an alternate thing for particularly political. Nothing wrong with political content. Hey, whatever your channel does, it does. Thanks, Captain Eagle. I appreciate it, brother. You didn't have to, but I truly do appreciate it. Thank you. Truly, thank you, really. But yeah, this, as you guys know, I mean, I have my spicy takes on history and I crack a lot of jokes, but I don't get political only because I don't know what your politics are. No offense, I don't want to know. You don't know my politics and you don't want to know what I'm just here to paint and have fun with models, so I don't do the whole political thing. So that being said, I don't go any one way or the other, any which way. So that's why I won't be doing Rumble or any of that kind of stuff or do anything else. Oh, absolutely. Matthew, if you write it up and send that to me, I will make a video on it, man. 100%. If you're okay with that, I'll credit you guys, but yeah, I'll make a narrative bat rep on it. Send me the pictures and send me the write-up, and I'll actually do a legit narrative bat rep, just like I did with my Bad Habit episode. No, Rabbit, it's a good point. And Rabbit, it's a very good point, only because I do have a lot of World War II footage, you know, of World War II Germans and World War II Japanese, Imperial Japanese, so I could very well get censored tomorrow, so not a bad idea, Rabbit. If that ends up happening, I may end up moving, you know, just in case. So Florida man has internet. That's good. You see in my videos, always a lot of like disclaimer statements up and stuff like that, and that's the other reason why. And again, Captain Eagle, I can't say thank you enough for getting the merch. The whole thing is, I'm glad you're supporting, and again, it all goes back to the community for our own tournaments and stuff like that. But it's just cool to know that people are out there, like at different tabletop events, wearing Tiki merch. I think it's the cool. Between that and getting officially memed by people like Woodimp, it's like the coolest feeling in the world. Anywho, but that's the best part about not being monetized and never being monetized, is it gives you this type of like diplomatic immunity. I don't have to care about what I say, you know, I have to care about like what I show, because I'm not going for monetization, you know. So it gives me a little bit more content flexibility, if that makes sense. I was hoping to get all these tanks primed, but I don't think we're gonna have that happen. But we did have a pretty cool. It was a pretty cool stream, and thanks, Bad Rabbit. I appreciate it, brother. I did like getting your ideas for the rules, Joe. I thought it was a hilarious rule. I don't know why you're getting censored. Swark, I thought you're taking a shot was like, I think battle. I think that's more of like a brew action or like a battle shot style gameplay, and I love it. HS, yes, 100% I will. Just know it's just me, and it's always just me. I'm my own editor on my own full team. I work a full-time job, I work overtime with that job, and I also work a side job. So, you can send me your stuff, and I will put it out. I just cannot speak to the timeliness of it being put out. As long as that won't bother you, as long as you won't be offended, like if you send me stuff and I put it out like 2 months later, as long as you're not upset or feel slighted in any way, I can tell you I'll put it out. I just can't tell you when I'll put it out, if that's okay. As long as that doesn't bother you, I'm happy to do that. I'm gonna be honest, man. It takes you guys have seen. I've been working on the Conflict 47 lore for like a year. It takes me a long time to put out videos. What do you mean the files are in the computer? This is a small. What is this? A school for ants? It needs to be at least 3 times as big. Oh yeah, HS, if you want to share that stuff, of course. I would love to be like a, kind of like a shared point for a lot of things Conflict 47. I don't want to be like the point, you know, because I feel like somebody else who does this full time would be much better for the community than me who just does it like at a half-ass part-time. But yeah, I'm always happy to share Conflict 47 stuff and get that interest going. Oops, sorry about that. I thought I muted before I spread on that primer. No, I am not Conflict 47 Central Command. No, I am. Trust me, Warlord Games doesn't even know I exist. I am not a blip on anyone's radar. I'm just this mythical Tiki mask that kind of like pops up and disappears here and there. I am not this. Don't wish that evil on me. Yeah, Matthew, I'm not gonna lie, I use you guys. Doing this stream twice a week, it gets me so much modeling done. I said even for this one, even just priming these tanks is gonna be awesome. Yeah, you know, usually I cut out at 4. I'm gonna go for a little bit longer. I'm gonna finish priming all these Chihas and then I'll probably call it a night. I appreciate it truly. That being said, I do have a lot of, I'm a little behind on the lore videos. I need to catch up. But I do have a lot of the shorts out, which is pretty cool. So, a lot of different models do have the shorts out. My goal is to finish the lore videos, at least for the main theaters. So that means 3 more long-form lore videos, like 10 minutes long. And going from like 1945 to 1947 for West Europe, East Europe, the Middle East, and the Far East. So I guess that's 4 videos. And then I'm going to finish all the shorts for all the models that are in the starter kits. I think I only have like 2 or 3 left, which is pretty cool. That being said, that is your big Conflict 47 news. Is those of you who are going to Adepticon, if anyone is, I'm not. But if you are going, they are releasing, or they're going to be talking about the new rules for Conflict 47. Help me, Tom Cruise! Oh, I love Ricky Bobby, or Talladega Nights. So good. Sure, HS, if you go into my YouTube channel, there's a an address for it, but I can also drop it in the chat for you. I got no problem doing that. Hey, what's going on? Oh, the whole gang's here. I appreciate it. I said you can also message me on Facebook if that's easier. I'll put my Facebook name on here. There you go. So you can use that fake name and find me on Facebook. That also works. Whatever your preferred method is. Ooh, I got a message. Ooh, that steam tank looks awesome. Matthew, that steam tank is legit. Oh, that is really cool. Damn, that is good. Really good steam tank, Matthew. Alright, let those models dry for a little bit, then we'll prime our last two Chihas. What they call it a day. But, yeah, once we finish these, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, once we finish these 6 Chihas, we'll be good. Yeah, we have 7 to paint. Yeah, there's a whole story behind the whole Alpha Kilo 5 thing, but that's a whole story for a whole nother day. Fortunately, gotta leave the audience wanting, you know. But that is another nom de guerre I'll use, I guess. Yeah, that's the name I use on Reddit. So if you see that in Reddit, that's me. I generally, if it's bolt action, I'll sign myself Tiki so that people know it's me. It's okay, people have found me without even knowing that. I want to say like Wood Imp and Morning Glory both found me. Like, hey, I know that guy. Somebody else found me recently. I forgot who it was too. So I was like, hey, there's like your evil clones on Reddit. I was like, ah, it's probably me. I'm trying to keep the Imperial Japanese alive for 3rd edition bolt action. Usually I don't watch his videos. I'm trying to be a little bit more open-minded. Nothing against him. I just don't share a lot of similar views, but I don't watch a lot of Bo videos for bolt action. But anyways, he did one for talking to Gator. Gator Games does stuff up in a little north of me, up in, I want to say Georgia, like around the Savannah area. So I'm familiar with the name, so I watched that video. It wasn't bad. But there's a few other videos. Where's I going with that? Oh yeah, sorry. There's a few other videos with that, and he was interviewing Gator Games about the game they ran down in Savannah, right? And when they ran it there, they had, I think, like 18 players, 18 armies show up. I think the winner was Italian, the runner-up was American, and the next guy was German or British. As far as their armies, there was 0 Imperial Japanese play. Granted, this was a tournament, so it was a competitive event. Absolutely 0 IJA or IJN forces. So I was like, oof, kind of hurt me in the feels a little bit, you know. I'm like, oh no, no one's representing the Imperial Japanese. So I still won't go to a competitive event. Not unless they really need me to or really want me to, you know. So I can't really complain that no one's playing Imperial Japanese at a competitive event if I'm not willing to go to one myself. You know, that'd be kind of hypocritical. But I'm just kind of sad, so I'm always hoping there's more IJA, IJN, you know, content or pictures online, so I'm trying to do my due diligence. Bad Rabbit, only because I don't have deals with them. I don't want to just, like, plug their stuff, but if you reach out to me in a direct message on Discord or something like that, I'll drop you the links that I use for Conflict 47 minis or Imperial Japanese minis on Etsy. I have a couple of people on Etsy that I like to use. Yeah, no problem. Like I said, there's some that that one guy, Mitch HS, talks about them. They make really cool models. I'm not gonna try and pronounce that name. They also make really cool, like, Imperial Japanese flavored Death Corps of Krieg or Steel Legion if you want to do that with like 40k. It's actually kind of a cool crossover. But yeah, especially with that news about Adepticon dropping and it's officially, because I saw it a little bit early, and I don't think we were supposed to. You know, I saw it open source through Facebook, so I was like, So I kind of reached out and they're like, hey, we're not, you know, nothing dropped about that yet. And then today, it dropped. You know, so I'm like, oh, okay, I can officially talk about it, getting anybody in trouble. So now that we know, you know, the update's coming, you know, especially they're gonna be talking about it at Adepticon, I'm like, in a rush to put out more Conflict 47 videos. So for good news for, I guess, the channel, you'll be seeing a lot more Conflict 47 content coming out. Do you think a super close combat force for IJ and Conflict 47 will work? I love the look of the close combat stuff. Yes. Yes, it will work, Matthew. I recommend, so the cool thing about Imperial Japanese exosuits instead of other countries' heavy infantry is we don't have the large infantry rule. Our exosuits are still small enough that they don't take up extra room in a transport. So if you're trying to transport American heavy infantry or German heavy infantry, they take up a shit ton of room in the transport, right? Imperial Japanese exosuits do not. Yeah, this thing's terrible. There we go. Wasn't focusing. The Imperial Japanese exosuits don't take up a lot of room. They don't have the large infantry rule, so therefore you can use a truck like a light truck. You don't have to put a weapon on it if you don't want to. Just buy a bunch of light trucks. I say buy, but you know what I mean. Put them in your list. A bunch of light trucks, and then put your heavy infantry in it, and just drive them up towards the enemy. Because they're so survivable. If you knock out the, I would say a mixture. HS. I think I'd prefer the exosuits for the survivability. But having like one unit of Ghost Attack Squad. I haven't used Ghost Attack Squads. That's the thing. I haven't used them yet, so I cannot recommend them. I've used Japanese exosuits, so I recommend them. I can't give a good opinion on the Ghost Attack Squads because I haven't used them yet. I need to build them. I have them in the box. I just need to build them. But back to you, Matthew. That's what I would do. I would use the advantage that the Japanese exosuits have of not having the large infantry special rule, so you could jam-pack them in a truck and drive them up towards the enemy. Because the other thing is, they knock out the truck, you're large infantry, you're naturally a little bit tougher. You're going to survive that damage a little bit better. So that is what I would do. I'd put them in trucks and run them off the board. You know? And same thing, when they get out, they're also fast too, so they can also close the distance pretty well on their own. You can advance the truck and have those guys get out and they can still do some... It's pretty cool. And plus, they have, you know, you can configure them with SMGs and this close combat weapon, so they can swing. I don't know if they can hold their own against Ursus Infantry or Schreckwolfen, much less Nachtjäger, but they can slap some people around pretty well. I can't speak to compression rifles. I don't use them, so I don't know. Now, light compression cannons on Scorpion Walkers are the tits. Literally, they're phenomenal. Zero complaints. I've used them a lot. They're amazing. It gives your light walker the ability to seriously threaten some armor. But the compression rifles, I don't know. The rules make it sound like a shotgun, but the rules for Conflict 47 are hard to read and understand. Because some things that sound dumb in the rules are actually really good, so it's kind of a mixed bag. All right, guys. I think we might just about call it there. We got some some Chihas primes. I think my primer's running low, so I'm gonna have to go and grab another can here. But worth it. So yeah, we have more Chia, because that's it. This is all I really have left, I think, for my Val, is just to get these Chihas painted. Because I already painted the Hago. I painted the we painted this guy on a separate stream. Speaking of Imperial Japanese Conflict 47, here's our Locust Medium Walker. So I think all we have left are these Chihas. So we'll just do some Tiki. You know, stay tuned for additional live streams. You know, we'll be doing some more Tiki flage and painting up some other stuff. So it's actually pretty neat. That's also why I like having the guy poking out of each turret, because again, it gives you that little bit of difference between the units, and also gives you something to paint to make the whole unit pop out. That way you're not just like tan tank, green stripes, done. No, you've actually painted the guy on each tank too. Alright, with that being said, also, if you guys didn't know, if you watch Nathan X2000 or whatever, he was doing a live stream playing Space Marine 2, and he actually just kind of like mocked / copied my outro, and it was really cool. It cracked me up. I think the, not the imitation, but I think the joking on it made me laugh. It cracked me up. Oh, hold on, let me catch up on all the messages, see if I'm missing anything. Is there a Japanese Panzer? I don't know. I mean, you can always talk about the Tiger. The Japanese Tiger that they bought never left. They took it to Normandy and it got wrecked. Alright, just catch some messages. I don't think the US is gonna get werewolves. I think they'll just stick to their super soldiers, the Paragons. But yeah. So Matthew, you saw it. Yeah, it cracked me up when I saw it. I laughed really hard. Unfortunately, I was working at the time, so I couldn't comment, and then he ended. So for the I can't say my own outro now without laughing. Damn you, Nathan. So for those of you heading to sleep, I hope you get the sleep you deserve. I hope you get that good REM sleep. I hope you truly relax. I'm actually probably gonna cronk out for a few hours before I drive up to Ocala for my event. For those of you guys that headed to work or already at work, I hope you have a great day. I hope things go your way. I hope the boss brings in free coffee or free pizza, you know, something to kind of brighten your day. And as always, I hope you guys stay safe, stay hydrated. Don't forget to relax today, because you're on Tiki time.
Shipwrecked soldiers on Moto sand, Type rifles in hand, hula gals with summer smiles, no war drums, just beach for miles. Ghost park by Tiki lights, shadows dance in tropic nights, sand beneath where boots once stood, paradise ain't so misunderstood. Lost in the waves and hula tunes, Tiki drinks and months of moons, forgot the fight in distant lands, just surf and play with tired hands. Bunkers built from palm and hope, coconuts and crude soap, imperial dreams, fade and sun, warriors turn beach bums. Shine to ocean gods we raise, praying for forgotten days, sake in the campfire glow, life's a surfboard, ebb and flow. Lost in waves and hula tunes, Tiki drinks and months of moons, forgot the fight in distant lands, just surf and play with tired hands. Lost in waves and hula tunes, Tiki drinks and months of moons, forgot the fight in distant lands, just surf and play with tired hands.